wanted to welcome you on Sports Talk and the Success Table, and get it all started with, how did you get involved with football as a kid, Mr. Detroit Lion?
Actually, yeah, I had some friends in the neighborhood when I was a kid, about 9 or 10 years old, and they had told me that they signed up for football. It happened to be the Dearborn Lions in Dearborn, Michigan, and my folks weren't around at the time, so I just got on my bike and went over to the park and I signed myself up. What little I could do at that age, I guess I knew my name, maybe, and my birthday, and address. And anyways, that was the start. I got to play for the Dearborn Lions. We had uniforms just like the Lions, so it was,
hey, man. So who were some of your sports role models as a kid?
well, I mean, there were quite a few. Being a sort of like a running back, wing back, receiver, I watched a lot of those positions. And as I got older, I think the guy that really stood out to me is probably Chris Collinsworth. He was a tall receiver, lanky. He was a track guy like myself. So I kind of would watch him, and just see how he played. And I felt like he was a long strider like I was. And, I tried to emulate him.
Definitely, man. So when you got your chance with the Detroit Lions, what was that moment that the league welcomed you, man?
Yeah, it was kind of like a dream. It was like I couldn't believe I was there. I remember as a rookie, right after the draft, and I had signed with the Lions. I felt like I was like I felt like an oddball. First of all, being that the guys that I was in this room with were all, rookies as well, but they were all drafted. And back then there were 12 draft choices, and I couldn't even seem to make it even in the later rounds. Not that discouraged me at all. It's just, it felt odd. It felt like I almost didn't belong there. I had to pinch myself.
Hey, don't we all, man? Hey, just talking to you, I want to pinch myself.
Yeah, right.
Hey, this is a dream for me to talk with professional athletes and coaches. So this is what I went to college for. So
yeah, excellent. That's awesome. As you probably find out, most of us athletes are just like anybody, right?
Definitely.
You can say about 95% of us could be there one year and gone the next. I mean, we feel fortunate and blessed to be on the field and represent. So, the stories and things that you hear and read about really don't pertain to most of the guys. I think most of the guys are realistic about, the opportunities that are given them. So they treat it as such. It's sad to see stories like Antonio Brown and what has occurred in his career. I mean, the guy is so gifted as an athlete and a wide receiver on the field, but he just can't get over himself. I think he is so selfish, and that's the one thing that I have told people that, even kids, it's like, respect your coaches, love your teammates. That's the starting point. Because what you find out later on as you play the game, that it's a lot more than just you and your athletic ability. It's about being a part of a team and how important every play is. It takes 11 guys every play to make that play successful. It's not just you. So I think once you realize that, what you're actually playing for, you're playing for your teammates. And then that way you can enjoy the successes as a team. And it makes it so much more enjoyable. You know what I mean? You get to celebrate your wins. You obviously you don't like to lose anything. No one does, but it does happen as part of the game. But sometimes you need to learn how to lose to know how to win, how to appreciate it, and then it becomes contagious.
Definitely.
So, it's unfortunate that type of thing occurs with a player of such caliber. I just don't get it. I think he's got some issues, some serious issues that I think he doesn't want to address.
Like from a media side of point of view, that hit from linebacker Burfitt when they played Cincinnati, when he played with Pittsburgh, I don't think he has recovered from it.
It could be true. I mean, but that seeing things like him making comments about that he was injured. When he was doing those jumping jacks, his lateral movement wasn't suffering at all. He looked healthy to me. And I'll tell you what, part of the game is that you got to play injured. You may not like it. No one likes to. You always want to feel like you're 100% when you're out there performing. But let's face it, there's going to be times when you got to play hurt. And he was asked to play, probably a little dinged up, but obviously not anything that's put him in jeopardy. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't put him on the field. I think what it was is that he just he was looking at the money. It was all about those incentives. And I thought that right away. I thought this guy's got incentives. He's not getting enough targets, and he's just having a temper tantrum like a little kid.
Yeah, he was like inches away from getting like a 1-point-something million.
Well, I think he needed one more touchdown and like 8 more catches in about a game and a half, and
50 yards too, I believe.
Okay, so he would have got like another $1 million if he would have reached that. And I think I read something that his agent approached the team, who's ever involved in contracts for the team, and wanted them to guarantee it. So obviously this was something that he was concerned about going into that game, and it was on his mind. So he wasn't thinking it. He was thinking solely about himself and getting that money. And the thing about it is, they always tell people, just anybody going into any line of work, do what you love. The money will come.
For sure.
And I think if he wouldn't have got caught up in the money, he was certainly a caliber of player to make a lot of money. And he had a 1-year deal. Forget the incentives. Don't worry about the incentives. Just go do your job. I'm sure after the year, if he would have just kept his nose clean, kept his mouth shut, just got out there and performed, regardless if he hit those incentives or not, they're going to come back to the table and offer him something. Give him a nice signing bonus, retain him for a few more years. But he couldn't look beyond those incentives, which is unfortunate.
It's sad to see a player of his talent have a career that short, man. Cut off like that, in that fashion.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was self-induced. It was all him. No one else. I mean, here you are, probably with one of the best teams in the league, the greatest, the GOAT, greatest player of all time, at throwing you the pill, and you can't keep your mouth shut or behave yourself. Come on. That's ridiculous. And many of us who have played the game never had an opportunity to play with such great players. But he took it for granted. He took his teammates for granted. He took his coaches for granted. And lo and behold, guess what? No team should have to deal with that. That is like cancer.
For sure, man. What he had to say about Tom Brady, too.
I didn't hear about that.
I think it was yesterday. He went on someone's podcast and said, Tom Brady is my friend because I'm good at sports. That's what he said. It was
pretty shallow.
Yeah. And Tom Brady's always took up and had his back.
Yeah. He got him there.
Yeah.
He was Tom Brady was the reason he was there.
For sure, man.
Because I'm telling you, that's a tough sale. That's a tough sale from the standpoint of the guy had so many problems with so many teams. He couldn't play in Pittsburgh. He did initially, and then his head got to him. Next thing you know, he was having troubles there, and then he goes to the Raiders, have problems there. It's like, seemed like everywhere he'd go, he'd have problems, and it's like there was nobody there that could check him. You know what I mean? I think it was probably very hard for teammates to try to relate to the guy. Definitely. Because he was all about the show. It was all about himself. Did he really care about anybody but himself? Apparently, it was all about himself.
Hey, like people in that locker room from Pittsburgh, his went on note that after that perfect hit, he's never been the same. I think the concussions has really got him.
It may have, and
CTE is
Sometimes
a
you don't
real
fight.
thing. And you probably, knowing in your decade of football, players like had several concussions.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, there are times when I didn't realize I got knocked out, and I was knocked out. I mean, just there were the times where I was out for quite some time, out on the field, laid out, and then there were other times where you just get hit to the ground wrong, and get up and you'd be dizzy. You know, we didn't really consider those to be concussions. We consider those just got your bell rung, or just shake off the dust, and get back out there. And generally speaking, we were okay. At least we thought we were. Nowadays, they have all this protocol, and they take you right to the tent, evaluate you. The game is so different now. Some of it's good, I think they need to protect the players, but I also think that because of the amount of money that's being thrown around at these players, the game has changed quite a bit. I think you get a hangnail, and it's like, Coach, I got a hangnail. What do you expect from me?
Definitely. So let's pick it up with the Detroit Lions. Who do you think, in your opinion, has had the most impact on the Lions? Calvin Johnson or Barry Sanders?
I got to go with Barry. I'm sorry. I mean, Calvin Johnson, awesome talent, fun to watch. I mean, he was the best at the time. But I just think, as far as Barry, because you're talking about somebody who you could just give him the ball, and you never knew what was going to. Hey, he was exciting, losing yardage. Okay, the guy was just exciting, and I imagine, being a teammate, being able to play with a guy like that had to be exciting, just because you knew, anytime he would touch the ball, it could be a game breaker. So that's most teams don't have a player of that caliber and that exciting, who can just turn a game. Kind of like a Deion Sanders of defense, right? Deion Sanders used to do that on defense. I played against Deion a few times, and that was scary. This guy would make so many unbelievable plays, and you had to always account for him. And if he was on the right side of the field, go to the left side. Just go as far away from that guy as you can. So, yeah, Barry was exciting, and I would have to say he was, the player that has impacted the Lions most.
Hey, Calvin has his part. You can't. Every time he touched the ball, he would have to get triple teamed on that.
Oh yeah, well, no doubt. Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, he was a man amongst kids, really. I mean, he was a beast, and yeah, he could do it all. I mean, he was fast, big, strong. Catch the ball and run with it afterwards. So, yeah, he was a tough one, but you had to get him the ball, and so a little bit tougher when you're throwing it. A lot of things can happen. It's easier to hand the ball off. Yeah, you could have put him back in the backfield, and he probably would have been exciting as well.
Probably. Hey, with his broken fingers, have you seen his hands?
No.
He has all of his hand or fingers are jacked up.
Are they?
If you look it up on Google, type in Calvin Johnson's fingers. They're like broken.
Yeah. Well, he's got some big paws, so I guess they're going to get broken. I mean, that's just part of the game, The one thing I realized early on, trying out for the Lions, is the difference in pro football versus college is the ball gets there so much quicker, right? So like when you're coming out of a break, you really have to get your head around as quickly as possible, try to locate that ball, because typically on a timing route, that ball is going to be in the air somewhere. You're not going to see the quarterback throw it. Plus it comes in a lot faster. So that's another thing. And if you don't have your hands in the right position, you can break some fingers.
Definitely. So let's scroll it forward to 2022. The Detroit Lions today. What do you think their biggest draft need is?
Well, I'll tell you what. I think they have a few needs, but I'm going to say, well, I'd like to see them get Aiden Hutchinson. from
Michigan.
Michigan.
Vincent.
Yeah, I mean, they need that. That's a position that is needed for the Lions. I think a linebacker too. They need a linebacker, somebody who can really get around the whole field, quickly and make plays on the outside. So I think defensively minded, it'd be linebacker and defensive end. And of course, I think a wide receiver would be certainly helpful for the Lions.
For sure, for sure. So, Mr. Chad, it's been a blessing to have you on our show, Sports Talk and the Success Table, and we welcome you back for another one, my friend.